Hey everyone, Tawny here. Welcome to my Glow and Grow. Today we are going to be talking about forgiveness and grace and just overall kindness. It's been a rough start to 2025 for a handful of us, impacted by things that are going on in the world, things that are out of our control, and we don't want to get to a place of resentment and just a heavy, maybe even at times ugly heart. We need to ultimately protect our peace. And I'm not saying that these things aren't incredibly valid and devastating, whatever you're going through, whatever the world is going through. But I want us to take a moment and think about a time where maybe you made a mistake and you wanted some grace. Now, this isn't at the scale of worldwide tragedy, I understand that, but sometimes we get so caught up in the big picture of the whole world. Maybe you're someone like me who just feels everyone else's energy and the tension of all the things going wrong, that we feel kind of helpless because we can't help or do anything about it. So I want to change that kind of big picture thinking to a little bit more detail oriented, a little more just smaller. What can we do in our day-to-day lives to get by and to cope? And sometimes that's all we can do, and sometimes it just has to be enough. So anyways, going back to that time where maybe you disappointed someone and you felt they weren't able to kind of see where you were coming from, they weren't able to forgive you, they were just convinced that what you did was terrible and horrible and awful. And that's really a projection of that person back onto you. So I'm not saying that we don't do things sometimes that negatively impact other people, and maybe, we're not mindful of that because we just get caught up in our own lives and in our own heads. That could completely happen. But on the general day-to-day, we need to give ourselves and we need to give others just more grace. The world is kind of a crazy, scary place, and we need to find it within ourselves to bring that light back. So that's what we're going to try to work on. Kindness, grace, forgiveness. Forgiveness is a really, really tricky one, especially when someone has harmed you or done something to you and you're just like, I would never in a million years have treated someone that way. That's really, really tough. But the thing is, we're not everyone else. We're all different. We all process things different. And again, that's not to excuse any behavior. There is certainly turmoil that feels completely unexcusable, but sometimes we have to forgive someone in order to be able to live our authentic lives. And what I mean by that is to live in a place of love and light and acceptance, and to not get stuck in the hate, in the pity, in the guilt. And sometimes, it's normal for those things to kind of coincide with one another, but I don't know about you, I feel a lot better in my day-to-day life when I don't have a heavy heart, when I don't have hate in my heart. I've certainly been there before, and a lot of times it just takes time. It takes time to heal, to grieve, to forgive. But like I said, you're forgiving someone for you, so you can open up space in your heart to receive more. Because we can get so stuck and we can end up actually not being able to receive the good, the love, the joy when we're living so in a frequency of that hate and distrust and just overall evil badness. So instead of thinking about that person and really dwelling on like that was a really nasty thing they did, I can never get over that, you have to understand that forgiving them is for you. And sometimes they don't even deserve to be forgiven. And you don't always have to forgive that person out loud. You don't have to go to them and say, hey, I forgive you for this. I think people get caught up in that too. I've been harmed. I just think of like the worst time I was ever harmed, and it was, 15 years ago. That's a long time. I just recently, and I'm talking like weeks, have come to a place where I've been able to forgive that person because I need to move on from that situation. It's not serving me. It's not doing me any good to be like, just have that hate and nasty in my heart. So I didn't forgive them for them. I forgave them for me. It's hard. It's really, really hard. And something that I did to do that is, honestly, I've just been doing a lot of introspective turning inwards with my meditation. I've been meditating a little bit longer on days when I have the time, and especially when my body is just like, you need it. You need to just be one with yourself, not get caught up in kind of the storylines we tell ourselves, right? We get stuck in our head, like, that person did me wrong and it means all these things, and sometimes it doesn't, we don't get to know the meaning. All I know is that everything bad that's ever happened to me is ultimately serving its purpose so that I can be here today, happy. Not just happy, I feel like I'm thriving for the first time, and it's really, really hard to thrive when you're holding on to that. So we need to let go, we need to forgive, and we also need to be patient and kind to ourselves and show ourselves grace if it's not happening overnight. Like, I just fully admitted I had this big thing that I had to let go of, and I had to forgive this person, and I held on to that for 15 years. So, it's never too late. Maybe 30 years you've been holding on to something, maybe 40. Ugh. You're gonna feel so light when you let that go and you forgive. And it might not be instantly, but over time, you start investing in yourself, start focusing on yourself. What can I do to be a good human being? Because I don't have control of everyone around me, right? And there are a lot of genuine good people out there. And you will find your people, and it won't have to be so forceful. That's a thing too, like, we see people in our lives, maybe you don't like something about them and you want to change them, and that's just, we can't change other people. It's almost like, stay in your lane, focus on yourself to be a good human, open up your heart and allow for that forgiveness and acceptance, and I guarantee you the way you see the world is just going to completely change. I still get ruffled sometimes. I will admit I really don't tune into the news. A couple different reasons. One, the news is not easily accessible to me, and you're probably like, what are you talking about? Yes, I could go online and, look up live feeds, but I don't have the channels on my TV. Like, I literally don't have the big networks to get my news, and I've been taking that to my advantage, not completely living in this blissful bubble of ignorance. I'm well aware what's going on in the world by friends and families, and there's some things that, even at work that we're talking about. But my day-to-day life does not revolve around watching news stories and feeling sorry for the people and feeling sorry for myself. And we could feel bad. We could feel for people, right? Have empathy and compassion for them. And we can still do what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Life is complicated. It really, really is complicated, but you have to look out for yourself, because sometimes, 99% of the time, there is no one looking out for you. Maybe you have a spouse or a partner or a best friend, and they're like your ride or die. You tell them everything. You just know that you are so blessed. A lot of people don't have those connections, and so they really are relying on themselves. So do it for you. You gotta let go. I have this little pocket of gratitude book. I haven't looked at a page in quite a while, but for a minute I was doing like a handful of pages a month. There's just different exercises in here. So this one is use active listening. That's a good one. You might not think that has necessarily anything to do with forgiveness or acceptance, but active listening is actually really, really powerful. Because when we're hearing what someone says and we're really taking that in and digesting it and just giving it a minute to sit, I bet you'll find it easier to connect with people versus just like, we're nodding our head, yep, let's get this conversation over with. Your connections with people are so important. And that's not to say we should be giving ourselves to everyone and everything. Like, you focus on your small knit of people. Those are your people, your tribe. You stay with them. We want to show them that we listen. Maybe we don't fully understand, but we're trying to understand. I think that lens in general of just kindness and compassion is so underrated. Call me hippy dippy, but we need to start being nicer to each other. We need to start let go. I hope this resonates with you. If it doesn't, that's okay. But if it does, just know that your feelings are valid. That person has hurt you. It was time to let go. Accept that there is a bigger plan for you. Accept that just maybe everything that you've been through has led you to this moment. And maybe you're like, well, Tawny, I'm in this moment and I'm still struggling. And that's okay. I still struggle all the time, plenty. A lot of us are struggling. We need to talk and forgive and have that lens of light and love to really connect with people and to serve ourselves in the best way possible. I hope everyone's feeling blessed today. I'm excited to think of what next topic we're going to discuss, and we will see you next time.